When we say comparative programming languages, at its core is the study and analysis of different programming languages to understand their similarities, differences, strengths, and weaknesses. We have a lot of numbers and variety of programming languages coming up over the years. There has been an increase in growth and rises in different programming languages, and due to this reason, we'll be listing some of the reasons why this growth of variety of programming language over the years is being listed. And not only this reason being listed, we have a limited number of reasons that programming languages has been arises over the years, and one of it is advancement in electronic technology, which in turn leads to increase in miniaturization of computer hardware. So, computer hardware, the advancement in technology has increased nowadays to the extent of there are a lot of miniaturization of computer hardware. And I said comparative programming language, it is not because we'll be looking at the differences between the languages, the programming languages, and we'll be looking at the similarities, the strength. That is why comparative programming languages comes in. So, and it is not about learning to code, because when we look at we are studying and analyzing different programming language, people think of how to learn different coding in every languages, but it is not about learning code in every language. It's about gaining a deeper understanding of the fundamental concepts, paradigm, and design choices that undermine various languages. That is the point we are trying to bring about by comparing and contrasting different languages, so that we can able to analyze and study them and able to understand their similarity, differences, the strengths and weaknesses as well. So another reason that as arises number and variety of programming languages is the advent of mobile computing devices. The advent of mobile computing devices has also led to changes in programming paradigm. So that's why we have increase in varieties of programming language over the years. And another one is computer network. Computer network and internet have made computing to be applied beyond the limits of traditional area of scientific and engineering application. So we can see over the years, we can see computer network and internet have made computing easier to apply in the area of scientific and engineering application. So we have another reason as well, that growth in multimedia application. So some of our multimedia application, we can see growth in it due to the number of varieties of programming languages. So, and another reason is the growth of e-commerce and m-commerce. So there is a growth in e-commerce, e-commerce platform in online. You can see the growth of it due to a number and variety of programming languages that has come up. So another one is every aspect of human endeavor is becoming more knowledge based and knowledge driven. So, and there is increase in digitalization of human activities. So human activities, there has been an increase in the digitalization. So all these reasons of varieties of programming language over the year, those reasons because thousands of programming languages have invoked, and each trying to provide solutions to address particular needs of computing world and the society at large. So we go into the learning outcome. So we want to look at the objective of learning basis of Python programming, and I said we'll be looking at different programming language, and the different programming language will be Python and PHP. Python and PHP, whereas in CSC 201 we have deep into Python, we have discussed, we have explained, and we have written a lot of programs in Python. So we'll just recall and summarize the Python, and we'll compare and contrast with it with the PHP programming languages. So now we'll be looking at facts about Python, what we need to know about Python, and the features of Python and its developmental tools, so the working environment. So the same way as we look into the Python programming, the fact about it, we'll be looking into the fact about PHP as well, and the features of PHP. As we look into the feature of Python and its developmental tools, we'll be looking at the features of PHP and its developmental tool, so as to compare and construct the two programming languages. So let's see the fact about Python programming language. Python programming language was developed by Guido van Rossum in the Netherlands in the late 80s. So, and Python 2.0 was first released on 16 October 2000. That's the first version of Python 2.0 that was first released. And so, however, even though the Python 3 has been released since the after Python 2 released 3rd of December 2008, so we still, for this course now, we will still be making use of Python 2.7, still, which is still the most stable version, and whereas that is what we use in 201 as our introductory to Python programming. So we'll be making use of Python 2.7 for this course. So, and let me just recall us the features or the description of Python programming language. In the last class, this one is a prerequisite to the 201 class for first semester. So in the last class, we discussed that Python is an open source. It's an open source as it is free, it is open for for anyone to use. So, and it's a general purpose language. It's a general purpose programming language, and as high level programming languages, is a high level programming language with remarkable power. That is the feature of, that is part of the feature of Python. And Python is simple to learn, simple, clean, readable, and yet compact syntax. So that is feature. Python use indentation, that is white space, to define code block, not like many other languages like C++ and Java that they use curly brace. So we can see that Python is readable and simple. It has a simple syntax, so easy to get and easy to read, to learn. So it's easy to learn, very well suitable for learning to program. So that is part of the features of Python programming. So due to its large user community, Python is experiencing continuous development. We can see, compare it to PHP, you can see Python is a very large and growing communities. So we see that the community is a large one, that we see many users know coding. So that is part of the features or the description of Python programming language. So, and Python is highly compatible with many leading programming languages and frameworks. So when I say many leading programming language, we can see that we have Java, we have C, we have C++, we have C sharp, we have C sharp.net. So many leading programming language, Python is highly compatible with many of them. So that is why you can see that Python is a very and we can say that it's an interpreted dynamic programming languages. So and when I say interpreted, that is, it can be executed line by line by an interpreter without a separate compilation step. So and we can see the website, the software at www.python.org to get more info on Python programming. So and we have the feature, more of the features which I've discussed earlier. We have more of the feature that there are many, there are interesting technical and technical features that Python possesses. We have the support multiple programming paradigms, that is, e.g. structured programming, object-oriented programming, and functional programming. So Python support that, it support multiple programming paradigms. So and I said earlier there is an open source, and as well as an interactive programming language, meaning that we provide interactive command line interface for instantaneous scripting. So it provides interactive command line interface, because when you are writing your code, if there is any line of code that need to be Python need to assist, it will come out with a syntax or a statement for you to for help. I will say it's for help in writing that command line. So especially when you are writing certain scripting. So now another feature is easily extensible, that is, third-party code or library can easily be integrated. So we have a lot of comprehensive standard library that provide modules for almost anything. If you want to, maybe web service, web develop web service, we have standard library for that. In Python environment, we have OS interface, database access. So it has a lot of built-in library. So library third-party codes too. So it's being integrated. So and as well, another feature is interpreted language. Is Python possesses interpreted language. When we say interpreted, meaning that code is executed line by line by an interpreter without a separate compilation step. So that is it possess interpreted language, and as well is a dynamic language. Python is a dynamic language, that is, it support dynamic typing of variables and objects. So it does not require static declaration of variable. So to that particular type, so it support dynamic typing of variable. So variable do not require explicit type declaration. The type is determined during runtime based on the assigned value. So and another feature we can detect is platform independent. When we say platform independent, meaning that Python can run on different operating systems. Operating system like Windows, like Apple Mac, like Solaris, and Linux etc like that. So Python is a platform independent. So that is another feature. We have another one. We have large library of code. Python have built-in library of code. Many special purpose third-party libraries are available in Python. So, and it supports variety of data structure and building types. So all these the data structure building types like tuples, list, dictionary, decorator, iterator that we have discussed, we have treated in 201 under introductory to Python programming languages. So, and it's a large user support. So, and we have the developmental tools, whereas the area where we work, environment where we work, where we code, where we write our programming. So, and under for Python, we have the text editor. Under text editor, we have the Notepad++, some line text to edit pad. So another developmental tools is IDE, integrated development environment. And under IDE, we have the Python IDLE and the Eclipse, the Edit-Pad Pro, the gedit, Commodore IDE, NetBeans, Python 2 quiz like that. So, and we have Python interpreter. So there is always an interpreter for a programming languages. So, and we can get that from the site here, www.python.org/download. So this is for the developmental tools. And we are through with Python. We want to look at PHP programming language. We want to look at the author, the year it was being developed, the version, as we have looked into Python programming language. We want to look into the PHP programming language. PHP programming language started as a PyArch in 1994 by Ramos Ledus, which developed to PHP/FI. So it's a personal homepage/form interpreter. So, and the version PHP 3.0 was first developed in 1997 with a new parser engine by Steve Suraski and Andy Gutman. So those are the people that first developed the 3.0 version for PHP. So changing the language name to recursive Ancomy PHP, that is hypertext preprocessor. So that is the Ancomy for PHP is hypertext preprocessors. So new versions are being developed with improvement. So the new version has been developed in 30 November 2017, and with new features that overrides the previous version, that of the 3.0. So the latest version is PHP 7.2 that was released 2017. So for the purpose of this course, we'll be making use of the version 7.2, PHP version 7.2 that we'll be making use of. So the PHP hypertext preprocessor is a widely used open source. You can see it's an open source, the same likened to Python programming language. Python programming, like I said earlier, is an open source, and this PHP hypertext preprocessor is an open source tool, and is a general purpose scripting language. That is, it gets interpreted. So PHP 2 as interpreted, it gets interpreted. So the same way with Python, that's a general purpose language and it gets interpreter. So this one too is a general purpose scripting language that have interpreter. So suited for web development. So PHP is suited for web development and can be embedded into HTML. So another thing for us to know for PHP scripting are executed on the server. Make the server generate dynamic output that is different each time a browser requests a page. So PHP scripting are executed on the server. So and PHP is free to download and use, as well as Python that is free to download and use. PHP too is free to download and use. So PHP is compatible with almost all servers used today. Server like Apache, IIS, etc. So PHP is compatible with almost all servers. So PHP supports a wide range of database like SQL, MySQL. So and it's run on various platforms. The platform can be Windows, can be Linux, etc. like that. So we now have the features. Part of the feature I've mentioned earlier, we have the feature of PHP. PHP file contain text. It contains HTML, it contains CSS. Those are the text, those are the data those are the files we can see in PHP. It contains text, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and PHP code. So PHP code are executed on the server, I said it earlier, and the result is returned to the browser as a plain HTML. So PHP file have extension like the way Python have extension, and the Python extension is .py. So PHP file extension is .php. So that is the extension for PHP file .php, while that of the Python .py. So we can differentiate the two programming language. So and PHP can be downloaded from the official PHP resources, that is the site www.php.net. And we have important characteristics that make PHP practical nature possible. So the important characteristics, they are the simplicity, and I've said earlier that PHP is simple to use, they are simple to read, simple to get. So simplicity. And another one is efficiency. So and we have security. The security for PHP is intact. So another characteristic is flexibility. It's flexible. So and another one is familiarity. So familiarity with the language, with the PHP language. So we have the what PHP can do, what it can do. We have discussed Python, we know what Python can do, how it operates, what it can do. So we want to look at PHP, what PHP can do. PHP can generate dynamic page content, So it's not static, the page is not static, it is dynamic. So it can generate dynamic page content. So PHP can create file, it can open file, read file, write file, delete file, and close file on the server. So the same way applicable for Python. In our programming language, we have write code, we have open, we have input, open data files, and we have read data. We have read the files, we have write into files. So and we have delete and close file in Python. So the same way applicable to PHP as well. We can create, we can open file, we can read into file. We can read file, we can write into the file, we can delete and as well close files. So PHP, what we can do in PHP, we can collect form data, for example like the Google form. So we can as well collect form data in PHP. So and in PHP we can send and receive cookies. When I say send and receive cookie, that is small text file. You can send and receive small text file placed on your computer by a web server when you view some sites online. So you can send and receive small text file in PHP programming language. So and as well, PHP can add, delete, modify data in your database. So you can as well add to your database, add data to your database. You can as well delete, you can as well modify data in your database. That is what PHP can do. So PHP can be used to control user access. It can be used to control user access. Any user that want to access it, so PHP can use to control user access. So that is what PHP can do, and PHP can encrypt data. It can encrypt data. So and we have the environment, developmental environment tools for PHP, for the environment where we write and write our code and work program where we program. So the developmental to one of it is text editor, and the same way Python have text editor too, which is the notepad, the note plus plus, and that of we have the IDE environment, IDE2 in PHP, that is the integrated development environment. So which under it we have the Eclipse PGT, PHP designer, PHP Eclipse like that, NetBeans etc. So and in PHP another developmental tool is web server. You know, PHP make mostly in the server is mostly, especially is web development. They focus, PHP focus mainly on web development. So that is the tools they work on web server, so PHP. So another developmental tool is database. So they work on database, that is e.g. like MySQL platform, So the PHP work on database. So that is the tools